Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. On today's episode of the Show Me the Way podcast, I sit down with my friend Jennifer Minchin, a mom, entrepreneur, coach, and woman whose faith is at the center of everything she does. Jennifer and I first connected through women's networking, and one of the many things I admire about her is her passion for supporting and uplifting other women. In this heartfelt conversation, Jennifer opens up about her personal journey through divorce and how she and her former husband have worked together to create a healthy co-parenting relationship that prioritizes the well-being of their 3 children. She shares the challenges she faced during that difficult season of life, how her faith in God helped guide her through it, and the lessons she learned along the way. Jennifer offers powerful insights on healing, forgiveness, perspective, and creating a positive future even when life takes an unexpected turn. Her story is a reminder that difficult circumstances do not have to define us and that growth and peace are possible on the other side of hardship. We also talk about Jennifer's work as a coach and the way she's helping women find clarity, confidence, and balance in their lives. She shares details about her upcoming June retreat, where women will be pampered, cared for, and encouraged to take time for themselves. A reminder that self-care is not selfish, but necessary. Jennifer brought so much wisdom, authenticity, and encouragement to this conversation. Whether you're navigating a major life transition, seeking inspiration in your faith journey, or simply looking for a meaningful conversation, this episode offers valuable insights that will stay with you long after you listen. I know you'll appreciate everything Jennifer shared, and I'm excited for you to hear her story. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. Today's guest is Jennifer Minchin. I was trying to look back and figure out when we first met, and it was a few years ago through women's networking. I was and still am very passionate about women supporting women, and that led to a short stint with the Moms in Business organization where I led a group in my area, in my town. And Jennifer and I connected. She was even a speaker at one of my events. Jennifer's a mom, an entrepreneur, a coach, a speaker, a trainer, and a faith-filled woman spreading positive messages and advocating for other women too. I knew that based on how she inspires others that she'd be a perfect guest for the show. And I can't wait to learn from her with all of you as listeners. So welcome to the show, Jennifer. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. It has been nice. And I definitely think it's a God moment that we met and that we've connected and stayed connected, and
Yes.
that our paths continue to be a part of each other's lives. We don't get to talk every day or all the time, but it's a testimonial that God is true and faithful, and that we are friends. We have similarities too in stages in life. So thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Of course. I love that outlook. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, obviously, I just said I'm going to learn more about you with our
Yeah.
listeners. So, I shared a few things about how we know each other, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about yourself?
So I am a mom. I will be actually 52 on Monday, 52 years young.
Yes.
Yes, 52 years young. I am divorced, went through a divorce, and I have a 21-year-old Grace, who just graduated from Eastern Michigan in biology. I have an 18-year-old son, Michael Joseph, who is graduating from high school May 30th, and he is pursuing business. He's an entrepreneur himself. Started at 14 working for my cousin in photography, and is now shooting for the Big Ten, taking photos, and is pursuing business at Indiana University. So he's going against mama's wishes and not being a Wolverine, but I'll live.
That's okay. I'll forgive him too.
I'll forgive him too. Mm-hmm. And I have a 14-year-old daughter who is almost 25, because she's my fighter. And I was married for 23 years. And I chose to end it, but we have chosen to do this not like the War of the Roses, right? An old movie a long time ago. We did things differently, opposite of what everybody else does. We didn't have a marriage where we weren't friends or it was ugly or anything. We just grew apart. We tried really hard to make things work, and then just God said it wasn't going to work. And we, throughout the divorce, worked together to remain really good friends. And actually, we're still very good friends. Daily we talk and we parent together beautifully. It is our goal to make sure that our kids are our number one priority, and we make sure that that is what our eye of the prize is, right? That these we created these beautiful children, and that they're the first and foremost, right? And so we're always in communication of what's going on, and that they look to us for guidance and everything. I am seeing someone, and my ex welcomed him, and they became friends, and it's really God working miracles, and they just communicate well together, and they make it a priority that it's important that my children see that both people are in my lives. So that's a little bit like on a relationship level. I am my undergraduate was psychology and women's study, so women have always been an important part of my life, like advocating for them, establishing community, and helping women. Like that's what I've always done. I don't know any different, right? And I worked in direct sales forever in the industry, and and I still do, but I'm by trade a life coach, a trainer, a speaker, a business coach, you name it, a health and wellness coach, and have done that. Oh, I don't know, in this space for a very long time. And I love to establish community, right? I have 2 Facebook groups where I just pour into women. I do book studies, I do retreats, and I have a retreat coming up on June 20th for anybody that's interested. It's at the Yoga Salt and Breathe Room in Livonia off of 7 Mile, and it's a day retreat. It's really reasonably priced, and you get fed and treated beautifully, and I just love on women, and I just love to create a space where they feel nourished from inside out, right? That Mother's Day is just not a day, right? Women should just be, they just should be loved on. So if you're interested in that, contact Andrea and I can get her the information.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. And my website is Jennifer Minchin. So it's Jennifer, Jennifer Minchin.com. The information's there along with how to get connected with me. And anybody that's a listener on this podcast, you get a complimentary 1 hour session with me.
Oh,
It's my
wow.
give. It's my
Thank
gift.
you.
I think all women should be able to feel where they get to be able to share what's going on with their life and have someone listen and maybe give some tips and tricks on whatever you might be struggling with. It maybe it's time management, life balance, or some ideas on how to co-parent if you're going through a divorce, or what does it look like if you want a divorce, or where do you start, or maybe you are struggling in your workplace with imposter syndrome, or maybe you'd like me to come into your workplace and talk. Reach out. So I really encourage people to take that 1 hour session and use it. Really, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Well, yes, they can definitely contact me, but I will also include this in the show notes so that
Wonderful.
they can see it right from being a listener. So
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you sharing more details about you personally. And yeah, we were talking about your 3 kids before we popped on here, and we do have
Yeah.
some similarities in ages, but I
Yeah.
wanted to say congratulations to your graduates. It's
Thank
really
you.
exciting. You got 2, one from college, one from high school. And that is amazing. And happy early birthday.
Thank you.
May is a great time for a birthday. My older
Yes.
son's birthday was yesterday, so
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect time. So yeah, thanks for
Happy birthday
sharing
to
all of that.
him.
Thank you. I can't believe he's 20. I really
I
can't.
know. I
It's
know.
so crazy. But yeah, I enjoy this so much. Everything you said in your little intro basically shows why we've stayed connected aside from God bringing us together and keeping us together. You want to honor and support women, and I'm all about that. So
Yeah.
couldn't appreciate it or agree with that anymore. So thank you for doing that. Well, I told you a little bit about the podcast, and I always tell my listeners, but just to repeat in case anyone new is here, I started the Show Me the Way podcast because my younger son, who is 16, he'll be 17 in September. These kids are just growing and getting older, and it's just going so
We're not.
fast. We're not. We
We're
stay the
not.
same age. Yeah, I
No.
don't get that. um, when he was 5, he was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a progressive genetic muscle wasting disorder. So as he gets older, his muscles get weaker. I found out that I was a carrier. I had no idea that I was. And that meant that it mainly affects boys. So every time I had a boy, there was a 50% chance that they would have this. So what's crazy is I thought I wanted 3 children. So it could have happened where I had a multiple situation. But yeah, my older son, it's like I said, it's genetic. It's on the X chromosome. So he got my good X and my younger son got the bad X, unfortunately. But we keep talking about faith and God. We've been talking about that a lot this morning, and we'll continue to talk about it throughout this episode. But it was a God wink because yes, we don't fully understand why a 5-year-old is diagnosed with something like that, but we do know there are reasons behind it, and we do know that some of those reasons we don't clearly see or understand. But we do know that when you go through something like that, you certainly change your perspective and you learn so much. And I tell all of my listeners, I always say this on this show, that I learn something from him every single day. And before that, I hadn't dealt with a lot of adversity. And so I didn't really talk to people about adversity. You truly don't know what people are going through unless you open your ears, ask questions, and start paying attention. And then you tell them you're going through something and they say, wow, I'm not alone. Let me share my story. So you start hearing more and more and more. And I thought, I'm going to do this podcast because A, I love podcasts. B, I really like to talk, as you can tell. And people want to share their stories. So it turned out I started just sharing my son's journey and how it changed our family and our perspective. I used to pray all the time, God, show me the way. God, show me the way. I think Jennifer's going to talk to us a little bit about how sometimes we have to play a part in that too. We can't just
Mhm.
expect him to show everything to us. Sometimes we have to partner and go through some hardships too. But that used to be my prayer. So then when I started this, I thought, show me the way. I really like the name.
Mm.
And I talked about my son's journey, and then I opened it up for all kinds of other people. I've had friends, family, referrals, people I just met last week on the show. I've been dropping an episode every week since September 2024. And people have shared everything. Sometimes it's diagnoses for their children or themselves. Sometimes it's grief. Sometimes it's, I had to move and here's what it looked like. Or I went to school for this and now I'm doing this. So although I have had a lot of women around my age on the show, this is really for everybody. I've had both my nieces on, so I've had someone who's 18, I've had people in their 20s, I've had men, I've had couples. So it really is open to anybody because we all face challenges, we all face adversity, we all have to turn right instead of left at different times, or we have a plan and it doesn't go exactly as we thought it was going to go. Certainly learned that as I've gotten older as well. So I just want to hear from people, and we're just having conversations and asking the questions, and hopefully listeners will recognize that they're not alone, and some of the similar things they're going through, they'll hear from the guests and they'll say, wow, okay, I can relate to that. Or I'm definitely going to jenniferminchin.com because I need to talk to somebody. So I'm very excited that Jennifer's here. We did go back and forth a couple times to schedule. And already before we even clicked record, I said, God wanted us to talk today. So
Mm.
here we are. Jennifer is going to share with us what's on her heart. And I know we're all going to learn something. So I'm going to drop my mic and I'm going to let you start talking.
Well, that is beautiful, and thank you. And I probably could come back 7 times because or more and share so many different moments through my life, right? That I've had to pivot, change, or dramatic things have happened, right? Where I haven't been strong, or I've been so strong that, like, the word resiliency comes to mind. But there have been times that resiliency, I wouldn't describe myself. And that's okay. That's where we get to learn. I feel like as I've gotten older, it is where the valley, it's when you're in that valley, the valley is where King David talks about is hard. It's when we're crawling through. It's the season. But that is where we grow the most. It's not on the mountain. It's not up here. Okay, like I'm doing hand gestures, but this is recorded, so y'all are not seeing this part. But it is in the valley when we are struggling is where we grow the most. We gain our strength. It's when our inner strength comes in. It's where God is saying, I got you. I'm holding you. It's where your friends kind of come out. It's where you hear the whispers. Sometimes you don't. But it brings me back to one of my favorite books in the whole world. You're all going to laugh. It's Oh, the Places You Go by Dr. Seuss.
It's a great
So in
book.
my commencement speech, I referred to this book, and it's not in the places where you're striving. It's like when he talks about it's the dark place, it's the scary places. It's like where your footsie foots are getting it all mixed up, and he's like describing this Dr. Seuss. And that's when you have to rely on that inner strength, right? You are like, "Oh, it's not pretty here." And that's when God carries us the most. I remember a year ago, it was my birthday, and I didn't quite know the navigation of what was going to happen or transpire with the divorce and how it was all going to look. All I know is I rely on a couple verses. And one is Jeremiah 29:11. Now, we always take the one verse, for I have a plan for you, right? Because it's, he does. He has a direct plan. As we are born and prior to being born, God knows what he's going to do. He knew before creation. Before creation, each of us, he knew each of us. He knew what we would look like, what our fingerprint was going to be like, what our world would look like, the struggles, the beautifulness, the highs, the lows. He knew Andrea, her son would have MD. He knew my daughter would have an accident at work, and basically her life would change at 18. And then get chronic regional pain syndrome and would end up with arm braces, and can't drive right now. But she made it through college and got awards and is doing well, right? But he knows what is going to happen. And yet, he will always be there for us. So, what we don't always know is how we're going to handle it. So there's often a time in my life that I waited, and I call it like the Moses season, right? Where I was like the Israelite wandering in the desert, and I wanted to see the miracles first. The miracles first. So I wanted to see the Red Sea part. So God, show me the Red Sea part before I'm going to do anything. Show me the money. And then, he kind of just placated me and would do it. And then I would be like, all right, I'm on the bus. I'm going to go. And then I would do the next thing. And then I'd be like, show me. And then finally he's like, when are you going to trust me, Jen? When are you going to trust me? Because I've carried you. And even though I've been faithful, there's a difference between faithful and really understanding, right, about God. And I don't think we ever truly understand or know the Bible, because I grew up Catholic and we never read the Bible. And then I feel like I'm a baby Christian, right? So even though now I've been reading the Bible for 10 years and I took a year of theology school and it's on hold, I still don't know it. And I've read the Bible through a couple times and I'm still learning. You can read a passage and It you don't know it. You don't know it. And God intended it this way because he wants you to always be a student of him. He always wants you to be a student of him. So he does that purposely. He's a funny God that way. He's funny. He wants you to continuously learn. And so as I'm reading and studying lately, our church is doing the year in the Bible. And last year I had to memorize the whole Bible and know it inside and out to pass my first year of school. And man, that was a whirlwind. And when I was learning, I realized I am not any different than those Israelites that wandered and didn't obey in that desert. I complain. I disobey. I might not be, praying to a golden calf, but I might buy a Kate Spade purse when I don't need it. I might put other priorities above God sometimes on a Sunday. I demand miracles without praising him. I don't like the waiting.
None of us do.
No, I don't like the waiting. So I've learned now and I'm still learning, so I'm not perfect. So I need to really say that I'm not perfect. I am trying to be more like Joshua. So in the first sentence he tells him in the opening is, be courageous, trust me. But here's the thing. Before you cross over into the promised land, I need you to do something for me. I'm not going to give you a miracle first. Now, can you imagine him, Joshua going, what do you mean? You gave Moses all these miracles. You gave him a staff that does all these things, like this magical wand. What do you mean you're not giving me these miracles? And God's like, no, I'm not going to do this. You are going to step into the Jordan. Now, it was at its highest river, the highest flood time. It's dangerous. And there was still some people over there because they didn't quite follow the rules that they still had to conquer. So, and now he's got to go tell all these other people the same thing. Olay, and I need you guys to carry this heavy ark made of gold. And you got to do this before everybody else. So, hey, I got to tell everybody else this stuff too. And Joshua's like, oh, okay, all right. And he did. He did. And that's what I want to be. That's what I'm striving to be right now in my season of life. But it's a decision I have to wake up with every day. And it's a decision throughout the day I have to continue to make. Probably several times in an hour. Because it's so easy to doubt yourself, to believe you're not worthy, to believe you're not strong, to believe you're not capable, you're not good enough, that you can't achieve your dreams, everybody else can do it better, because that's what's programmed on the left side of your head. It's a record player. So now, every day, I just think, I'm choosing to step my foot into the Jordan River. And I know my God is going to part that sea.
How was this part of, you said a year ago, how did you come to this realization and then make it play a part in going through this difficult time and deciding how you and your ex were going to navigate the divorce?
So I remember thinking it was my birthday, and my son, we went to church. We went to a small church. So I normally go to Northridge, and we went to Solid Rock. And it was small, so you could really hear pin drops. And I remember sitting there thinking, this birthday looks different, And after we went, I was sitting by myself with my dog that thinks it's a lap dog, 55 pounds, and I'm not even 5 feet, right? is on top of me, licking my face. And I said, this feels so different. I'm approaching this birthday so differently. A woman by herself and really about to raise children by herself. I will own a house by myself. And I just said to God, take it, do it. And I trust you. And I am typical type A, type A, controlling, overachiever. I can do it all on my own. I'll give it to God, take it back.
Mm-hmm. Don't
I
we
do the
do that?
song and dance with him. It's like
We
the
all do that.
tango, and so I really said to him, this is where it's going to be. Let's do this. Because
Love that.
it's it's the song Surrounded by Michael W. Smith. It all started with that weekend before. I was in that Thursday, Friday, I was with my friend Laura. We went to Shipshewana. It was the first time I ever been to Shipshewana, and I had never seen Michael W. Smith. And he was like on my bucket list. Literally, his sweat could hit me because I was like front row right in Shipshewana. Dream. Just I've always wanted to see him. And it's intimate theater. It's Blue Gate. It was so cool. And that's how I started my birthday weekend, going to Shipshewana, having 3 days there. And I got in like late Saturday night. It was, my birthday was Sunday. So, and I remember I love the song Surrounded. And I thought, he's going to surround me. I'm surrounded by angels, his dominion, his people. I'm surrounded. God is surrounding me at all times. I don't have to do this alone.
I was just telling Jennifer before we came on here, and sorry, I'm just having so many thoughts as you're talking.
Share.
I was just saying that this morning, actually, I know what she's talking about at Northridge because I'll go there. Generally, I will listen. So I've been listening, unfortunately, or fortunately, we're able to go online and listen.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. So yeah, the year of the Bible. And then also I started this other Bible study called the Bible Recap. And this is the first time I grew up Catholic too. This is the first time I've never read the Bible before.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do it too. I just finished Joshua. So that is crazy that you're talking about that. But I was just saying that, I don't know, it humbles you. When you start reading that, there's so much you don't know or so much that's very confusing. And if you had questions before you start opening the Bible, you're going to have a lot more. And you're going to say, why did that happen? That doesn't make sense. That's so different than the way life is now. I like the Bible recap because the host will always come in and she'll say, if you feel like this, if you have questions, you're totally normal. We all do. Like, this is her 10th time going through it. And she'll say, it's still a question to me, or I still wonder this, or I still wonder that. So sometimes I will think, gosh, maybe I'm inferior. Maybe I have this imposter syndrome. Maybe I don't know what I think I know. And I start questioning things. But if you put all that aside for a minute and just understand that it's a journey, it's so hopeful to just simplify it and say that what you're saying, God's surrounding you. So you can have questions, but if you always feel like he's present, it kind of softens some of that and enables you to have these questions and to keep growing and learning in your faith, but to just know none of these questions really matter. I know he's there.
Yes.
And so just listening to you talk, again, so timely. I told Jennifer that we don't say this is a faith-filled podcast, but to me, maybe it's just how I'm trying to live my life. It always comes up in our conversations. It just always comes up because God is here. He just shows up in a million different ways. You have questions, you're confused, you don't really know what's going on in the Bible, but then if you stop for a minute, pause and just say it doesn't matter, he's here. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. I think what has helped me is that there always have been these women that have mentored me, right? Like, because I grew up Catholic, I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was really involved in our church. So I thought I was doing all the right things. And it wasn't that I was doing the wrong things. I'm not putting that down. But I was lucky because I was in a direct sales company where there was many faith-filled women, and I was young. Well, I was 30, but about 20, 28,
That is
newly,
young to us
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah, but not quite newly married, not a mother yet. And so they were pouring into me other than business wise. And then I had a really traumatic pregnancy. Well, I had a hard time getting pregnant, then a traumatic pregnancy, and hook up to an IV. I was invited to a Bible study. And okay, first of all, it was Beth Moore. So a Southern woman talks so fast. She knows her Bible. She was an aerobics teacher. If you don't know much about her, she started off as an aerobic teacher and she would preach as she was doing it. And they said, you need to start teaching women. Okay, the woman talks 90 miles per minute. And I had the Catholic Bible. Okay, it didn't even have all the books in it. I didn't have tabbies. The book never had been opened. My grandmother bought it for me. I mean, like, she's going 90 miles. I'm like trying to catch up. I was in overwhelmment. I mean, I brought this IV with me because that's how I had to go anywhere. An IV attached to me. I probably looked ridiculous. So I turned and looked at my friend Christine and I was like, what just happened? I don't know. She goes, keep on coming. And I'm like, okay, because I'm like young. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, I want to know this God. I want to know this God. And I kept on going and I never stopped. And people poured into me. And then someone gifted me a Bible. It was small pink. Now I can't read it because it's so small print. Like my eyes can't even do it, but it's a treasured. And now I probably have 100 different Bibles. You know, every kind of Bible imaginable, different versions and journaling Bibles and they're written on, circled and whatever. But that is because I kept on pursuing. I kept on learning. And I don't know everything, like you said, right? And it's okay because I'll get through like Levitic, like wherever they're telling you on how to build the tabernacle and it's cubic by cubic. And I'm like, oh, it's math. That is not my thing. And you really want to fall asleep. And I'm like, yes. And then all the rules. Okay, how did you know those rules? Like Moses, you expected they memorized those
Yeah,
rules.
how did you go back and tell everybody those
Yeah,
rules? Like,
that's
I
like
would have
my
been like, "Hold
question.
on, I need to record you."
Yes. I mean, I have a note section in my phone for memory. It's like 100 and some odd years old at this point. I mean, it took 40 days to get up to that Mount Sinai to memorize and then get down every time God gave him something. I mean, man, I take memory vitamins at this point. I mean, that guy had stellar memory. And I'm thinking, you got to do a burnt offering with this, but this grain can't be used on this. I mean, I get stuck in the details and I'm like, okay, God doesn't want it. And that's why Jesus came and died. So we don't have to memorize those things. So I don't need to get stuck in those things. But the point is, we get to keep on learning. And that's what the beauty is. He never wants us to stop learning. And that's how our journey keeps on going when we need to pivot. And that's how, like, every time there might be a frustration, or maybe I'm at a point and I'm at a junction, right? Or something we might not agree at. And I'm like, okay, I get to pause here and stay grounded. I get to stop and stay grounded here. I'm going to choose my words. So I'm going to breathe in God and I'm going to exhale out the enemy, because the enemy is trying to attack me at this moment because he wants me to say something to my ex, because that's what he wants, right? He wants me not to be connected. He wants me not to be in a cohesive relationship, right? So I'm going to breathe in God. I'm going to use all my techniques that I know how to do, my grounding, my breathing, but I'm going to breathe in the words that I know. I don't know I can't always quote every verse. I might, you know, I know through God, through Christ, all things strengthen me, but I can't tell you exactly what verse it is. Like, I'm not good at memorizing, but I can, go in and say, there's a lot of good ones in Isaiah, and I know that Isaiah is a good book for me when I'm in struggle, or I'm in the thick of things, right? Isaiah is a good book. I know that Jenny Allen is a really good author on anxiety and fear, and she's a great Christian author. I've read a lot of her books, and she quotes a lot of scripture. And I'm okay that I'm a Christian that is not great at scripture memory. It's a struggle for me, but I will breathe in, do my exercises. I'm okay with saying to people, I'm not perfect. And some days I may not read my verse or my Bible in the day. And the next day I know that John 1:16 is grace upon grace. And that is the scripture I am living by right now. Grace upon grace. And that is what I pray over my clients right now.
Love that.
And I have clients that are secular and non-secular, and they still come to me, right? And I don't
Mhm.
force anything on them, but they know that I pray for them.
What about your ex? Does he have a strong faith? Did that play a part for him too? I want to hear more about how you maintained this relationship and continue to co-parent so beautifully, because I'm sure a lot of listeners are going to want to hear and learn about that.
Yes. So we made a conscious decision. We talked about it. So when I asked for a divorce before he was served, I made it very clear to my attorney that I didn't want someone coming up and serving him, that I needed to talk to him first. We had been having problems, and I probably stayed a longer than I should. So I said, look, we know obviously this is not, we're not happy.
Yeah, it
We're
can't be a
not,
surprise if you
yeah,
yeah, mhm.
yeah. And we went to dinner actually. And because, there's no privacy when you have kids, they lurk everywhere. They come out of they're like, I don't know, they're gremlins. I'm like, where did you come from? Where did you appear from? But we sat down and we went to dinner. And I just said, can we do this differently? And he just was like, yeah. So we prayed about it. We talked about how it would look, that we've never been screamers or fighters or anything like that. That is just not us. And probably the opposite. We probably kept things in, right? So we just said, he continued to live. We lived together. We just lived separately. He worked afternoon midnights. And so we never were together really much. So we just continued to still have meetings together, parenting, talking about the kids. We prayed that about our kids, that we would talk about everything. So he lived throughout here until March. I think it was March. And he then moved out, and my parents allowed him to move into their condo just down the street. So he was super close, and then we as a decision made that he would still come over for dinner every night because he worked afternoon midnights, and the kids and I would still pack his lunches, and so he could still see the kids before he went to work. He just moved back home to Indiana. He's working there, so he's surrounded by friends and
I was gonna say,
family.
and you said back home, so it's
Yep,
family. Okay, great.
yep. So he's back home with his family. We talk every day just as a recap of what's going on with the kids. And we're planning Michael's graduation together. I'll call him and say, hey, this is what's going on with Grace on doctor's appointments, what's going on with Audrey, things like that. And so we're just really, we're still a front. We're still friends. We're still Team Minchin. It's just, that's how it has to be. And that's what and I'm very vulnerable on Facebook, right? Like, I share things because I think vulnerability is important. And I want people to know that you can co-parent together and that you can do it amicably and safely, and people gets to feel safe and loved and seen and heard, and he gets to feel safe, loved and heard too. And I did not start David and I became friends first, and we were just we were friends back and forth as a support system, and then we started dating. And so like it people needed to know, like, it wasn't something fishy or weird, right? That I was doing something. And Mike was really nice about welcoming him, and they chose to, they just like each other, right?
Yeah, that works out. That doesn't always work out, but yeah,
No,
that
yeah,
works out.
right. But then prior to everything, they got to, they made a decision. Hey, there's 3 kids involved. Let's get to know each other and let's be on the same page. And then God just threw in a God wink and was like, and we're going to like each other.
Yes, I love that. Well, you said a couple things that I really appreciated, because if you're listening and you're thinking, okay, I appreciate that, but my ex-husband and I had a very difficult situation, or there was some kind of unfaithfulness, or there was some kind of lie, or there was anger and fighting and all of that. So they're thinking, well, how could I ever get to that? But
And
it's
I can
not.
share some things too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's great, but I really liked that you said make a decision.
Yeah.
And I also really liked that you said kids first,
Yes.
because you it can be very complicated. Not everyone is going to have a separation the way that you and your ex did. Thank God for that. I think I love that. But it doesn't mean you can't get to where Jennifer and her ex are. Just because you had a complicated divorce, or maybe it was a little bit more uncomfortable than what Jennifer is describing, doesn't mean you can't, with work and time and making those decisions and stopping to think about your children, doesn't mean you can't get to something like she's describing.
Right. So the first thing is you got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Second is you can't badmouth them in front of the kids.
That's huge.
Third is you can't have backup people behind you bad mouthing your spouse or your ex. Backup dancers or backup
Yes.
singers, right? Backup
Yes.
people, because they feed you
Mhm.
things, and that's not good, because that's toxic and it can destroy. And ultimately, who it's going to affect is the people you brought into this world. And is that really what you want in that, really? And it's a bad thing. And so you need to find safe people that are also going to bring you back to reality and not be those bad, toxic people.
Yeah, I love it.
Like,
Safe
they're going to
people.
bring out and remind you that person you chose at one point, and remind you of the good qualities, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And you did love them once, and you chose to bring little people or people into the world, and you said vows with, right? It might have not all been peaches, and we went through some really hard things. We lost 3 children at 5 months or later, and that's hard. It's hard. We didn't grieve really well together. We didn't know how to communicate. I came from a family, my parents weren't really, my mom was like, just move on.
Yeah, keep it in, move on. Mhm.
And so I did. And the last time it happened, we had just found out his mom was diagnosed with cancer. So it was the final time, and it was the third time, and it was probably the most traumatic time for me. And I really needed to grieve, but I had to feel like carry on because now we have this new diagnosis and we know it's terminal. And my dad had a quadruple bypass. So, like, there was no room for me to break down. But I eventually was going to have a major breakdown uh, about 4 years later. And it was going to be bad. And that was going to put another strain on our marriage. So, we didn't learn to communicate and grieve because it wasn't how we grew up. It wasn't in our DNA. It wasn't anything. And the one thing that is really bad is we went to our parish, our priest, and he said that's not our job. It wasn't until we went to Northridge that we got some marriage building and we got some help and we used those tools. And because of those tools, it might have not saved our marriage, but it literally saved our marriage so that we have a good relationship now to make that choice, right? So in the end, it really did save, right? It did
Yeah.
save.
Yeah. Yeah, make a decision. I wrote that down. I think that's great. But I really like that you said safe people because, again, I don't want a listener to say, well, I don't have that kind of relationship or I've been divorced and my ex husband and I don't speak or we don't have this or we don't have that. So we're not trying to say that it's
No,
easy. It
no,
takes
it's
work.
not.
And we're also
It's
not trying to say that exactly what Jennifer and her ex went through is what your situation would look like. But I also wrote down because just listening to you, strength, joy, peace. Like there are other things that you still can get in your life if you are able to have this foundation and co-parent together and have this great relationship as you continue even though your ex is, that's amazing. But if you don't have that, some of the things Jennifer's talking about are things that we still can take and we still can find joy in our lives. We still can say, wait, time out. I don't want to be with those toxic people. I don't want to hear all this stuff about my ex. I don't want to have those negative feelings all the time. I want to grow in my own peace and my own strength. So I'm learning about that as you're speaking as well.
yeah. And here's the thing is what I'm finding is in Facebook groups, you're relying on strangers to give you advice that have toxicity or a negative background.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
And
point.
these are moms groups. And you're literally asking for advice. Leave. They're evil. Now, unless it's an unsafe environment, let me make this clear. Leave if it's unsafe. If you're being abused, you're being hurt, your child's being harmed. But if you are laying down your whole basis relationship and asking 1,000 women in a group for their opinion, really focus on what's within and go to some professionals. Like, I have training, I've got education, like really think about this because they're taking a quick second, they're looking at what you wrote, and then they're giving you advice, and they're coming from a skewed perspective. Have they just recently been jaded? Are they angry? Are they really taking a genuine interest in you? And I know Andrea and I are probably in the same group. And I'm just really sad that these people are making these comments and they're giving unhealthy advice because the bottom line is you've got these people you raised and loved. And in the end, what's going to happen to them?
Right. Well, and I just appreciate, like I said, safe people. So just, protect yourself. Think about
Mhm.
you. obviously, if we get back to our faith discussion, we want to think about others and we want to care for others, but we also have to protect ourselves and our own peace and what's best for us, because how can we be good parents to our kids if we are not protecting ourselves? How can we protect them? So it's important to find those people that
Yes.
are safe for you, that are going to help build you up, help bring joy to your life, help you with your children, and you just know you can trust them. And it doesn't have to be someone you've known forever.
No.
It can be someone you just met, but just make sure it's your safe people. So that's a
Yeah.
very good point. There are a lot of support groups. There's social media is taken over. So there's so many things that we can look for and search for and find. I've had a lot of guests on here say, oh, that helped me. Going to this Facebook group really helped me through this
Yeah.
difficult time because there's people that could relate. So
Yeah.
that's fair. And you do that. But to Jennifer's point, if you're on something like that and you're saying, I need to be vulnerable, I need to put it out there because I need support, and you're not getting that back, or what they're sharing is just adding to any negative thoughts in your mind, then that's a
Mhm.
sign. That's a flag
Yeah.
right there. Wait, time out. This one isn't for me.
Yeah. And there's divorce care programs. There's some great divorce care programs and support groups. I started to go to one. It just became too much, like right on my plate. But there are great support groups. Utilize those. Rely on friends. Here's some great things that really help me too is making time for myself. Find like literally in my planner, creative time. Like I'm a creative person. I can't draw or things like that, but like really doing something creative for myself once or twice a month. Making sure I'm doing self-care, real true self-care, inner self-care work, right? For me, journaling is my like getting my feelings out, you know, walking, walking, like because walking vitamin D, no matter what our Michigan weather is, getting out in the fresh air is really good for you, right? And taking care of your cortisol. If you are stressed, seriously, really stressed, if you don't control your cortisol, if you don't control your cortisol, it really screws you up and you're going to tailspin. So making sure you get some sort of vitamin D and some just minimum exercise. It's when I sat on the couch and did nothing is when I spiral.
I was just going to say the word spiral. That's when your mind goes and you
Yeah.
can't stop it. Hmm.
Yeah. So those are like, you know, read things that nourish you, and it doesn't always have to be like learning. My kids always say this, you're always reading something that's learning. Okay,
Can it
so
be something that's
maybe
fun?
yeah, you know what? Read something juicy once in a great while. I mean, there's good books, and if you're not like crazy like juicy, go get an Amish romance, whatever. Like whatever you want.
Or
Whatever turns you on.
I think you should listen to podcasts,
And
especially the Show
podcasts,
Me the
like,
Way
yes,
podcast.
show me the way. Andrea's podcast is amazing. There's yes, I love podcasts when I'm getting ready in the morning or when I'm walking. That's my podcast time. I love podcasts. I love supporting women own podcasts.
Yeah, I love
So,
that. Well, I want to such great tips. I always say at the end of the episode, please like give us some little nuggets. I say that often. I had a guest on the show that said always leave little nuggets. And you've been doing that throughout, but I definitely want to give you time to promote what you're working on. So you said a little bit about that retreat you have, but yeah, tell the listeners a little bit more about your business side and the coaching and what they could expect if they went to jenniferminchin.com.
okay.
Go
So
ahead,
I just
promote
updated
away.
I just updated the website because
Oh,
I released
great.
100 pounds. So if you would have saw my website like uh about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I was 100 pounds heavier, and so it's been revamped and redone. So on the website you'll see my upcoming retreat, which is June 20th.
June 20th. Yep.
It's at the Breathe Salt and Yoga Room off of 7 Mile in Livonia. It's from 11:30 to 5. It includes a really beautiful lunch, yoga. You have access to all the amenities at the event. We're going to be speaking about irregularities in the body, how salt impacts you. We're going to talk about confidence and loving yourself. Crystal, who's one of the owners, is going to be talking about just nourishing your body from within and repairing connective through how yoga and all that. We're going to also do on the spot. So, because it's a small group of 20, I am really good at reading the room and understanding what women are feeling. And as that we are talking and doing icebreakers, if someone's coming in with something, I'm really good at saying, let's throw the agenda out the window and let's talk about what the heart of the matter is. So if people are coming in and heavy and burnt out, we're going to go into burnout talk about. We're going to talk about life balance. We're going to talk about whatever is on somebody's heart. We're going to have the opportunity for breakout sessions, and because we have the yoga parts and people can go off and do different things, we're going to have those opportunities too. The payment is $150 and it can be broken up. It goes up to $175. So it's really important you go on right now and
Register early.
register
Yeah.
early,
Okay.
because I want you to have the early bird registration. And it's a beautiful gift bag, and it's curated for what you are. And I send out a questionnaire and I ask things about you,
I love
because I
that.
want to create a gift bag that you want to enjoy.
Yeah, way to make the participants feel special.
Yeah. And so I do book studies. There's one-on-one coaching. In third quarter, I'm launching a group coaching program. I can work coaching sessions can be designed specifically for you. I really encourage you, if you want to get to know me, schedule your complimentary session.
For sure. Definitely. I love that. And then, yeah, you also are in direct sales. So do you
Yeah.
want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I work for a wellness company. They've been around for 70 years. It's Shackley. Um, I recently learned, I was in and out of the hospital with chronic pain problems, stomach problems for 3 years. We could not figure out what was going on. And I started to have it advocate for myself because the stomach doctors could not figure it out. They thought medicating, doing all this stuff was the best. And so I went back to the root of the problem and I was like, what can I figure out? What can I eliminate? What can I do? And I went back to basically an anti-inflammatory protocol, reducing, sugar, dairy, gluten, alcohol. And then I was partnered. I used their shakes because they were the first shake company that came around 65 years ago. And they use plant-based, and they just are well known and time-trued products. And they follow really high standards where most companies still use the chemicals. They follow what the European standards follow. So they don't allow the passable stuff that we can put in products. So they do non-toxic cleaning products, beauty products, nutrition, and health and wellness, also
Like
vitamins.
supplements. Yeah,
Yeah.
supplements. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah. What I love is you can go on, take a quiz for your vitamins, upload your labs, and it'll tell you exactly what vitamins you need based on your lab work or just the questions you answer. And so you're not purchasing vitamins that you don't need, right? So my mom was basically overtaking vitamin D. And so when she went in with her labs and her quiz, she was taking too much vitamin D, and the quiz was able to tell her that with her lab work. And it's great. So I love the program. And so on my website, jenniferminchin.com, there's a link to Shackley. But before you go in and play, reach out to me, because I like to talk to people and find out what their needs are before you purchase anything, right? I like to really get to know you and suggest based on what your needs are, because it's really important. That's what someone did for me. And it all goes back to what I love about women is don't purchase things that you don't need. And let's look and evaluate what's going on from the inside. And sometimes it's tweaking our diet or buying one all-purpose cleaner that can clean your house, but besides buying everything, because really I started with an all-purpose cleaner and a paste to clean my house.
Yeah, I love that. And you're very intuitive. So you can tell how that works well for you, reading a room, but also making sure you're identifying what this person really needs and helping them. So you're not just going to spend their money aimlessly. You're going to help them
No.
be effective and efficient. And I appreciate that for
Yeah.
sure. Well, that is wonderful. I do think we could have 6 more sessions. You're right. Um, I
Anytime.
I actually do have another guest returning for she'll be the first one returning, but there's a lot of people that I could have on more than once because we have so many different stories. You heard Jennifer mention a few things about her children or about health, so there are other things that she could speak on, but I liked this overall view. I liked all of the faith that you brought in and all of the God speak that you brought in because I think that's truly helpful. And you really, I love that whole being surrounded and feeling like God is with us. He was with us today for this conversation. That's very true. And with us for the timing. We needed to speak this morning. So
Oh,
I appreciate you so much for being here. Yeah, please check out jenniferminchin.com. I will put all of this in the show notes. She mentioned a couple of songs and books and her retreat coming up. So we will put all of that there, but you can definitely connect with her because I think she would be a great person to connect with if you're going through something personal, if you want to learn more about health and wellness, if you need some great cleaning products. She's got a lot of things that she can share with all of us and a beautiful smile and
oh,
she's opening her arms to all of you today.
I
So
love
I
you
hope that
all.
I hope that you take advantage of that. But Jennifer, thank you so much. I know you've got quite the schedule and like I said, we went in and out, picking days and then that didn't work and I'm just really glad that we were able to make time and that you were a guest on the show. Every single person that we've had has shared nuggets with us, have shared just pieces of their experience and let us all know that we're not alone when we go through things and it's perfectly okay to have to turn left instead of right and you can figure it out and you're going to have hard times, you're going to be in those valleys, but you can find yourself back on that hill. So thank you so much for all the wisdom that you shared with us today and yeah, everyone go follow Jennifer.
Oh, Andrea, thank you. It was honestly, it was more of a blessing for me. It was a blessing for me. And I hope like I didn't ramble because I'm just so passionate and,
No, we love that. We love that. You can
um,
tell you're passionate for sure.
yeah. So
Well, all the best to your
thank
graduating kiddos, and I hope your daughter can continue to find strength and peace with what she's going through. But that's amazing that she was able to do what she did, graduating, and high school graduation's a big accomplishment. And yeah, all the prayers and blessings to you and your family, and
you
thank you
too.
for spreading it all here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.